Welcome to Friday Fuel. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Friday Fuel, episode 18. We are rocking and rolling. Today we have Alex and we got Adam with us. How you doing, guys?
Fantastic.
I'm pumped up, man.
Yeah,
I'm
poor
outstanding.
Collin.
I'm outstanding,
he's
bro.
missed out on this week's episode. Poor guy was throwing up all night, so make sure we send him some well wishes and hope he gets better soon. But without further ado, we have one of the predators in our industry. He's not a killer. He's not a juggernaut. He is an absolute boss. If you don't know this guy, you've been living under a rock. He's one of our title sponsors. He makes this show happen. We appreciate him so much. Mr. Joshua Youngs, why don't you come on in here?
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
How's it going?
What up?
What's up, Josh?
Happy post AEP.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's no harder worker than this man right here during AEP. I promise you that. I promise you.
Well, there probably is.
I don't know. I don't know
really
many people who have had a heart attack mid-season and then just like kept going.
Yeah.
Most people would pretty much throw in the towel at that point, I think.
That was God's blessings to made it a real smooth process back home and back to health. So, I'm at cruise control at this point. I could theoretically cruise to 400 apps any year.
Cruise, by the way, he said cruise.
Well, when you start to have a big snowball, it makes it easy to make smaller snowballs. And so over time, I've built up a really good, I don't want to call it fanatic, but I have a ton of fanatics, and they're really good at creating referrals and the integration of, in essence, a lot of network marketing tactics is what I use to create what I call it is an STD, where it spreads through generations and layers of trees and people, and you want to create that kind of stickiness to your client. But yeah, I mean, I'd say cruise it, but when last I checked, I was at 411, and then I ended up doing 29 yesterday. And
29.
Anybody could do that. It's really not. It's not as complicated as most make it. What the hard part is if anyone's ever grown a garden, it takes patience and time, and there's certain things you can't rush in the process. And I see that in all of you. Donnie, I think back to the first time I met you, and same thing with you, Adam, and Alex. I got to see you and meet and spend more time with you in Dallas this year. Not a ton of time, but enough to see how you are and I see how you act. And you guys have all that ability. You've just got to create a uniqueness. And like Adam, you do a really good job with the memes and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's really what's going to separate you from, and you don't need a big degree of separation. It doesn't take much effort for you to separate yourself. And all of you say, 400 sound, it's not that big of a number, really. If you have a machine, a system, a process, if you look at, I guarantee you, if you look at any of the top organizations across the country, they've got people that did 500 apps all over the place. So it's not that big of a deal in a sense. So, yeah, I'm in a really good position now, and I'm happy to pay it forward. Lucky here's got about the best life I know of, but the second best would say I got a pretty good thing going.
So
That's
talk
good.
to the agents who aren't at that point, which is I think the majority of agents, but who are struggling to even get 29 apps during AEP, right? Like, how did you build up from 0 to being able to do 400 plus apps during a 2-month window?
First thing you got to do is become the renowned source for whatever you do. So if you're going to position yourself to level up, first thing you got to do is study up and build up. So don't go out gung-ho into the community if you don't know your butt from a hole in the wall about what you're doing. You've got to really study the products and really study the angles and find where the points of pain are going to be. As an example, on several Humana plans across the country in several areas, there's a program for people that have COPD or people that have anticoagulants, and you can really use things like that to find niches and pockets of points of pain that you can leverage, because there's really nobody, if you think the average age and the reason they're struggling to do 30 is because they're sitting around wondering what to do. Activity is the king, and just getting out of the house, into the car, driving, that's the first hard part, right? Then getting out of the car, going inside is the second hard part. But what gives you confidence to do those things is by studying up and building up yourself, putting into self-development, putting into going to the carrier meeting, studying the plans, studying the differences between United Healthcare and Humana and Aetna and all the other. What's the value proposition? Where's the angle? Where's the point of pain going to be? And you got to understand the biggest value is you. So if you're going to provide value, really, in all intents and purposes, you can buy insurance from anywhere. You can buy insurance online. You can buy insurance from a broker. You can buy insurance from a company. You can buy insurance from a captive agent. You can buy insurance from a lot of different places. So what comes down to what resonates with people is being authentic, and then weeding out through people, because there's people that you're going to vibe with, and there's people that you're not going to vibe with. And I got, as an example, I sent out an email yesterday. This is the last day kind of thing. I got an email this morning. She was really nice about it. What did she say? I'll read it to you. Because basically she broke up with me as a client, which is fine. I went with another broker. Thank you for your time that I was with you. I have updated my enrollment with her. Thank you again. Her name. And I looked at it a little deeper. In essence, what happened was the day I was supposed to go see her in person was the day I had a heart attack. So we called to leave a voicemail to reschedule it. It never happened. And so when something like that happens, and when I was younger in my career, I would have looked at that as like she's like evil towards me and she's trying to hurt me. But in reality, it's just she's doing what's best for her. And the way I look at it as, in some level, some way, shape, or form, God removed her from my life for a reason. And so 1 out, 12 in,
Yeah. Josh, I had a couple questions for you. I'll ask one and then we'll get to the other one later. I'm sure a lot of people are curious. How are you getting in front of all these people and getting 400 apps? I'm really curious about it as well.
Mostly referrals. So it's probably, this year is probably 65% new business and 35% rewrites of current clients that needed to change their plan. I don't care what everybody looks at rewrites. I'd rather have a rewrite. One, you reset the commission at a higher level. Two, if someone's going to rewrite my client, I really prefer it to be me. So I count them all. But it's like 65% new. How do I get in front of people? Well, I try to leave a unique and wonderful presence that when my clients are done with the process, they think that was unique, that was different, that I want them to think differently about what an insurance broker can be. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, is I work mostly referrals. So if you're going to do a volume in AEP, what the most precious resource is time. There's only 54 days, 53 if you take Thanksgiving out. I took Sundays off. I mean, if you start shaving off days, I think I was working with like 40 days, something like that. And then I had a heart attack in the middle and had to take 4 days off. All of that goes into putting together a plan for you. And so, but if you're going to do a volume, like I said, 100, I don't want to call it easy. 100 is 2 a day. So if you can't find 2 people a day, I think any one of you with the kind of drive you guys have, I could challenge any one of you. And I'm pretty sure between the clients you have, or resources you have, or connections you have, or creativeness you have, you could go find 2 people today. if you chose to. Most people want to sit around and wait for, like, where do I set up the referral drip? Like, where do I get? You have to go plant the seeds to create the referral. It's a crop. You have to think of it like a crop, and you have to plant the seeds. And some seeds don't grow. Some seeds don't produce fruit. Some seeds grow a tree but don't have fruit. So you waste a bunch of time building a tree that doesn't do fruit. And so, yeah, I think getting in front of people, Alex, is mostly for me about referrals from not just clients, but that's where a lot of it comes from, is referrals from referrals from referrals from referrals. Same thing with community partners. I have several pillars of doctor offices and financial planners and other key sources of people that I try to be a resource to. But at this point, I'm pretty much full. I'm at this point, I'm going to be maintaining my book of business and replacing those that fade out or pass away on me. That's really what I'm looking to do at this point.
I think that's really cool, because for myself, I work my business strictly off of referrals, and I've been able to build that up the past 6 months. I've been able to get a whole referral strategy, how you get, 5 to 25 referrals per client you sit down with. But for the people that don't know how to get a referral, what does your referral strategy look like?
Great question.
Well, really simple is good. Simple is better. And so referral strategy for me is really just providing over the top experience. I try to think of myself as the Rich Carlton of Medicare brokers versus the Super 8 busted ones that are usually out there trying to pretend like they're offering discount service. So everything from top to bottom, it's a mentality that starts with the mentality that I want to be the best. And so from the very beginning, when I had no money all the way till now, I always buy the best high quality paper. I always the best ink, the best everything, highest quality of everything I can do. So that any little piece of what I have, when they hold my business card, I want them to go, and they usually do, wow, this is a really nice business card. And you every little part of it. And now I'm reinventing myself, and instead of just wearing polos and baseball caps, now I'm elevating the attire. And I'll tell you, with the elevation of attire, it draws attention, it draws respect, it draws a new level thing, almost to the level where some of my clients are like, don't even recognize me. I have to like talk to them when I get to the door because they don't recognize me because I have the no shave November beard, and I've changed my branding. And it's okay to reinvent your image anytime. Like, you're in control of your image. And so I would say, each of you want to create a uniqueness about you, emphasize whatever that uniqueness is, and find what your strengths and weaknesses are. You got to acknowledge your weaknesses, and you got to really prey on and use your strengths to your advantage. That's really what the whole game's about. And so my strengths are reading people, making people feel good about things, educating them in simple terms. And so you educate people in simple terms by educating yourself to the point where you can explain a complex topic in simple terms. And that really what it comes down to. So age is not anything. You guys could be 20, you could be 50, you could be whatever age. And if you learn these skills, I think it translates across the board. But yeah, I think finding that rhythm with what you're going to be doing to be unique, plus effort, plus whatever. And so if you're going to be referral only, then what you got to do is you got to really learn to be really good at getting referrals. How do you get really good at getting referrals? You do a really good job of staying paid attention to details. You have a really focused approach. You have a system of process that you follow. So it's a very consistent experience. It's like, if you think about it, like, I have a car wash membership to a company that has a bunch of locations, and it's the same experience no matter which location I go to. Same exact car wash experience every single time. And that consistency would lead you to be more comfortable referring, because referring somebody is a risk. You have to understand, whether it's a restaurant or an auto mechanic or an insurance agent, me telling you about Alex, or me telling you about Donnie, or me telling you about Adam, I'm taking a risk that Adam or Donnie or Alex is going to provide a very consistent experience to what I got.
Mm-hmm.
And so being dialed into your experience, being dialed into your process, being dialed into providing over the top service that's very consistent, so that when people describe what the experience is, exactly what they describe is what happens. If you think about it, the last restaurant you got referred to, if everything was exactly how they told you, the service was over the top, the food was amazing, then that residual effect is compounded like a snowball, because now you're going to be twice as over the top. And what I always say is your client is most likely to do exactly how they got. So if they found you by being referred to you by somebody, guess what? Inherently, they're going to be programmed and trained like this is how we do this. Like my job now is to tell everybody I know about you because I heard about you from somebody else. And that's what's really fun is when you do this correctly over time, you'll start to have people in your area. They get your name from 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or more people. And eventually it becomes like, why shouldn't I call this person? And when you start to build a network of that, then that's where the speed comes in. So people go, how the hell do you do 400 apps in AEP? Well, because like 90% of it's referral. And so it doesn't make me build trust. They don't make me build rapport and all that. They understand that I'm a machine and I'm trying to do this at a certain level. But in reality, I'm late every day. In reality, my staff is calling the whole list every day saying, hey, he's an hour late, he's 2 hours late, or sometimes it's either that or I'm 30 minutes or an hour early because somebody cancels out. And I don't just sit around in a parking lot and take that as a break. You slide everybody up. Like you have to understand your market. Like 90% of your market is who? Retired people if you're doing Medicare. And so they don't, what are they doing? Nothing. Most of them. And so you can move your schedule around and be adaptable. But yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, Josh, about I've heard your story before about how you got into the industry, what that process was like, what you were doing beforehand.
Well, it's being young and dumb, really.
Yeah.
Young and dumb is how I got into this industry. And God got me into this industry because in reality, what happened was I was working in a dentist office and I thought it was a really good idea to write myself prescriptions, that's a really bad idea, by the way.
Yeah.
And that put me in a cycle with the legal system that put me in a hole. And so I got fired, believe it or not, right? And so then I got a job a week later as a secretary at an insurance agency. And from there, I tried to be the best secretary on earth. And from there, that turned into being the I think I went to status person. Where my job was to check the status. Back in those days, under 65 health was underwritten, and so I had to go in and make sure that everybody's getting through underwriting and doing underwriting questions and going through. Okay, this person's taking this medicine and that medicine, and they have this condition. Can we get them health insurance? Back in those days, it was pass fail, and I went through that, and then I went through the group insurance side. I ran a telemarketing center for a while, and then I settled in as they called me the products manager for a while. Then they called me the sales director for a while. But in essence, my job was to recruit, train agents, and doing not just Medicare, but insurance, whatever insurance we could get our hands on. And that's really what I did for 14 and a half years. And for some of my background with the mistakes I had made, that was a pretty good push, right? And then so that's how I got into the business. And then the person that ran that agency sold the agency and retired. And it was a wake up call when you get sold as part of an asset. Like you're part of the asset. And well, wait a minute. If I'm part of the asset, where's the cash out?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There was no cash out. So my cash out really was knowledge and experience. And from that point, that was 2017, December 7th is when I found out, ironically, that he was selling the agency to a couple of awesome guys that they ended up eventually selling and partnering with Integrity. But that's how I got in. And then I started my agency, and that was the rest is history, but I can tell you with multiple 7 figures of revenue, like I don't keep it all. I really spread it around to my staff and my brokers and other places. But yeah, I think anything's possible. And if you're new in the business, the reality is it's hard. It's hard because we're all doing the same thing. And you have to understand, this isn't like your product. It's like everybody. Here's a big misconception that people tout because it's some bullshit. Okay, so I'm going to be real. you don't own your own business here. Like, everybody understand, you don't own your own business. You don't have your own product. It's not like you like developed your own product and you're doing your own thing and you're doing retail sales. You are a direct, you're nothing more than network marketing. We're nothing more than network marketing with a license. We're peddling someone else's product, and you can choose to peddle or you can choose to make a difference. And if you're new, that's what's going to separate you is, number one, work ethic. Number two, having someone with a system and process that you can relate to, that you can follow. And whatever system and process you follow, because there's 1,000 ways to do this correctly, follow whoever you're following and don't ask questions that are against doing what you're supposed to do. Like, ask smart questions, but don't ask dumb questions like, why should I keep doing this? Or why this isn't working? Why, most things are hard in the beginning, and over time it looks really easy. Most people look at my schedule and I can tell people, everybody wants 40 appointments in a day until they get 40 appointments in a day. And then what? Well, I'll tell you, you throw pens at the wall, you cuss, you get pissed off, you want to quit several times a day. You do a lot of things, but people don't see. People see the scoreboard at the end of AEP and they go, wow, that sounds amazing. And they start doing the math in their head and how much money and all the other stuff that goes with it. But the reality is, what you're not thinking about is the service work that goes in on the back end of that. You're not thinking about the questions and the problems. And if you're doing it correctly and servicing people like you're supposed to, like, it blows my mind still how many brokers and agents don't do in-force appointments, policy delivery, if you will. Whether it's life insurance, whether it's homeowner, whether it's auto, whether it's Medicare. Like, why are you not talking to the client at minimum, if not seeing them again to solidify the relationship after the policy starts? Like, why would you act like everybody else and then expect referrals? So he called me once, came over, was nice, and then never called me again. So I should refer him or her to my friends and family. No, that's not how that works. You got to go over the top and provide service at a level that's higher than what your competition's doing. So the best thing you can do if you're new is find out what your competition's doing. How do you find out that? Start going to carrier meetings, start going to your upline meetings and sit next to people and start asking them what you're doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Find out what your competition's doing, and then either do it better or do it different, or both. It's a really simple formula. Most people overcomplicate it. Go ahead, Donnie.
At what point in your journey does the Medicare Machine Factory come about? Is that from day one, whenever you leave your prior company and start your own thing, or is this a couple years into your process? Did it take some feeling room, or when does this work?
Well, the agency is Medicare Peace of Mind. The Medicare Machine Factory is really about me trying to make impact, pay it forward to agents and other brokers, because this business has changed the trajectory of my family's life.
Yep.
And I've got both my sons, I've got my wife. There's a lot of family that I've got impacted in this business. And so the Medicare Machine Factory for me is really about twofold. One, my ability and my desire to help as many agents as possible. And in the beginning, the spirit of it, what I was going to try to do with it is try to be an unbiased third party that would try to train as many people as possible, no matter whose upline you're under. But in reality, what it is there's too much. I think of it like pirate boats. There's too many pirate ships out there, and everybody thinks, we can't share our secrets, and we can't have somebody coming on a boat and training our people because they might recruit them and all that crap. So I said, fuck it. Excuse my language, but I cuss a little bit. I said, who cares? And so now the Medicare Machine Factories, I'm looking for people to turn to Medicare machines, and whether that's you pay to show up for my trainings, or you pay to show up for my trainings, and then you learn that the system and process I have might work for you. It's both. It's a recruiting vehicle and it's a training vehicle for agents to plug in, whether they want to move their contracts or not. But it's the same trainings that I offer my agents and downlines, but to the masses. And really, it's being scaled down drastically next year. I'm just going to do the AEP boot camps, and it's going to be a series of 3 trainings in February, June, and August to help somebody do AEP correctly. Because in reality, you got to do it year round to do it correctly.
Yep.
And if you do February, June, and August correctly, then when you get to October, it's really a formality of how much you're going to do. And you can start to really predict and have a board like that. You can like really draw the map to whatever number you want.
And if somebody wanted to be a part of that, where would they go to find that information?
Great question.
Oh man, I think the main landing page doesn't work because I don't even have a landing page. That's how efficient I am because I don't really care about that part of it. But in reality, you find it on Facebook. You can search Medicare Machine Factory. You could find it on YouTube. You could subscribe to the channel. I usually put stuff. You could just watch my profile on Facebook. I usually post that stuff. Usually would post it in the syndicate. I would usually post things in other groups. But I try to make sure that people are aware of it. I'm a very, very polarizing personality. So people either love or hate me. It's been that way my whole life. Because I'm just me unapologetically.
When we had Josh, when I saw you at the mastermind, you had just came off that heart attack. And I saw, I was like, bro, what are you doing here? And you're like, dude, I'm just here. I'm ready to go. And I was like, dude, how are you here? And then you explained to me how. And then, you're an individual that is so motivated and you want to be there and be in the scene no matter what happens. For most agents, if something like that were to happen where they would have a heart attack, they would call it a day. They would call it a month. They have to recover, right? What is it in you that makes you just want to go get back out there even after that heart attack?
Well, the grace of God, really. It's all about how you feel. There's a lot of people I know that have heart attacks that don't feel good 2 days later and don't go home and stay in the hospital and have to. So I was blessed that I'm young enough and they found it and they fixed it. And I don't have an answer for that other than, life is short. 2 AEPs ago, when I had my biggest AEP, my wife almost died in the middle of it.
I remember that.
And it caused a big rift for a little bit with my mother-in-law and I because I just kept running appointments. And I would go visit her at the hospital a little bit, and I'd go back and run appointments. And, in reality, my mindset is my wick is shorter than most. And so I look at genetics as a big factor of things, and the genetics was a big factor of my heart attack. And when I look at like my dad, his brother, my grandpa, there's several people in a row on my dad's side of the family that all died at 49. And so for me, what I learned this lesson fishing, and fishing taught me so much in life, and I use it for training. I use it for everything. But if you've never gone to a salmon run, whether at a lake or a river or anything else, a salmon run taught me one thing where the salmon only run for a short period of time, like 2 weeks. And that's your opportunity to catch fish. If you like, catch as many fish as you like for that period of time. And then after that, there is no fish. And that's kind of how I look at this business. And legislatively, especially when I know I don't own the product and I'm providing a service, and really my service is helping people pick out their plan, which is the easy part. And then the back end, which is really helping them understand their benefits, making sure the benefits work, fighting for them when things aren't approved, going through the full gamut of being a full service person. The backside of that is, how can I leave a lasting impact on as many people as possible? And that really should be your focus. And yeah, I would say the heart attack is semantics to me, only because God blessed me with, I don't want to call it a minor heart attack, but I took a ride on a helicopter and I got through my arm. They put a stent in my heart and I felt better within a couple of days, and for me, they said, don't stress. But for me, sitting at home thinking about how many people aren't going to get helped properly because of my absence, that was more motivating to me than sitting at home, and I went stir crazy. And so, here I am.
I heard when we were at the mastermind, you were in the process of applying for a life insurance policy.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
was
right?
3/4 the way. I was waiting for I kept getting the runaround from the paramed company. And so
Mm.
it took me like 8 weeks to get the paramed scheduled. The paramed was finally scheduled like a week later after the heart attack. And yeah, I mean, so if you, it's what it is. Luckily for my family, I have a built-in life insurance policy, which is sell the agency.
Yeah.
So
100%.
That's a
there's
good
no
point.
health underwriting for that.
That's so good. And the help that you give other agents and the inspiration and hearing your story from start to finish, I know really specifically a person like me very much relates to that. Can you speak to how not letting mistakes define you and not letting bad times in your life become the overarching archetype of the rest of your life? Can you speak to how you kind of overcome something like that? Because I know there's a lot of things in my life where I look back and I say I was a freaking idiot. I was stupid. I got in trouble, and and I'm in the process of trying to make things better, trying to give my life a family a better life, and you're someone that I very much look up to, and I have even from the start. And I just want to know. I want to first say I'm appreciative, and I want to know where that comes from. I want to know, where does Josh get his inspiration from to keep going, to say fuck it, to go back to work after 4 days from a heart attack. So
Well, find me someone who doesn't make mistakes, and I'll find you a liar.
that's
And
really good.
so yeah, what I've learned is people usually hide and cower from their mistakes. They're ashamed of their mistakes. And in reality, there's two things. You should be ashamed of your poor decisions,
Mm.
but you shouldn't be ashamed of mistakes. Like, so if you did shit on purpose, I didn't show up to school on purpose, or I didn't show up to work or whatever, that's like a conscious decision to do the wrong thing. You should be ashamed of that, and you should change that. But mistakes, a simple, honest mistake where you were either underinformed, undereducated, underexperienced, or something that caused you to make an honest mistake, and you've owned it and you're going to fix it. In my experience, whether it's one of those or whether it's one of those just dumbass decisions that you've made in life, because both of them are in the same category in reality, and you get held to the same standard, whether it's one or the other. My best experience has been to just own that.
Mm.
So rather than try to pretend that I'm something I'm not, like I'm perfect or something, I just own every wart and every mistake I've got. And what that does is it pulls the bullets out of the gun from the other people out there, because haters love to shoot bullets when they got nothing else left, because there ain't nothing else they got going on. And so what you do is you take all the bullets away from them, and then they're shooting blanks, and then you can just laugh at them.
Mm.
And so if you're the one that owns it, so whatever mistakes you've made, Donnie, you just move on. You got to own it. And if people ask, like every time someone asks, like you guys heard, how did I get in the business? Well, by being a dumbass, really. And then God blessed me and pushed me into this world that ended up changing my life. So you can't ever understand how it works or why it works or when it's going to work. But if you have a really good belief and you're a really good person and you really start to make effort to, you can't be mistake free. I still make mistakes. I still screw up. The computers crash, systems fail, you're gonna mess up. I can't tell you how many times someone's scheduled with me and it's supposed to be on Tuesday the 7th at 5 p.m. and I put it on Tuesday the 14th at 7. And I put it on the wrong damn day. And then they call me that day and they're, where are you? I'm like, instead of trying to find a reason why, I just tell them, look, I put it on the wrong day. Whatever it is, you own it, move on and fix it. And for some people, it'll be a deal breaker. And you know what? Whatever.
Mm.
Let those people that are that anal about it find someone else who's that anal about their time, and they'll connect.
Yeah.
They'll find an anal agent, and they'll move on. You find someone that vibes with you. Go ahead.
That's a really good point. So agents coming into the industry in itself, they don't really know where to go. They don't know if they're ever going to get on the other side of the struggles that they're having. for agents that are struggling right now, our audience watching and viewers that are going to watch after the live's over, what was the turning point in your business where you knew that you could be successful and do this at a high level? Like how many years into the industry was that point when you had that it factor?
When did I know?
So
that
at what's at what certain point did you know that like you can go in a home now and help someone like that with the utmost confidence? You weren't gonna, not necessarily mess up, because messing up's fine if you're being your authentic
I
self.
never
But
once had that thought.
okay.
Not even when I didn't know.
Okay.
I've never once had the thought that I would mess it up.
Okay. So like,
I love the confidence. It's
yeah.
like I love your attitude. I love the no BS, F it like attitude. It's oh God, I love it.
It comes from I put in the work. I studied the hell out of Medicare. I studied the hell out of the plans. I memorized, like, I can't describe to you the psychological difference between someone who goes, hold on, and goes like to their briefcase of their car, goes get the book for the summary of benefits, and then has to read the summary of benefits, versus me who says, oh, that plan, this is the copay for that, this is the copay for that, this is the copay for that, here's the max out of pocket, here's the dental, here's the over the counter. And if you have categorically, systematically memorized everything, which again, that if you realize most smart people that you think are smart are just good at memorization. Okay. There's not a lot of smart people out there. It's a very rare thing. Okay. But there are a lot of people that are good at memorization.
Yep.
So that's one of my skills is immediately when I meet someone, I can ask them, what do you have? And because I've got everything memorized, I start trying to poke holes in what they have. Okay. Start with what they have, find the points of pain, and position for how you can solve the point of pain. If you just try to cram a product down their face, they're just going to look at you like every other salesperson that's ever called them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you provide something different, what you want them to say in the middle of your conversation is, wow, this is different. Wow, you're different. Wow. So something along those lines tells you that you're doing it right.
That's really good. Yeah, that was one of the first notes that I took on what you said, is just finding those pain points and really just poking and prodding at those till they really open up. And then
what do we learn, Alex, in Dallas? What's the most motivating thing?
Most motivating thing.
You don't know.
Which fear?
The fear of loss.
Yeah. So how are you yet leveraging the fear of loss as the main point of pain?
That's really good. That's like the FOMO, fear of missing out that they're not having the best
fear
products.
of loss of being part of things.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, Josh, we were going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Before we leave, we always like to ask our guests, what is one thing that we can give our audience and the people watching the live and after the live that they can put into their business today and get done today? What's the advice from you?
Well, I guess
you've given us plenty of really, really great nuggets, things that you can use in your business in the future, but we want one thing actionable today, Josh.
Well, go buy some stickers. Buy some stickers that define you somehow. So for me, it's fish stickers. But what you should start doing is utilizing the power of a sticker to make sure that your mail gets read. And so one thing you can start doing right now is sending out 10 birthday cards a day to your turning 65 list for people that are in the zone. What I mean by that is in their 3-month window to turning 65, and try to be the first person to tell them happy birthday. And don't pitch over the phone. That's the second actionable step, I would say. If you're a face-to-face agent, your whole mission on the phone should be to set a face-to-face appointment, and don't sell over the phone. Don't go over product over the phone. Don't compare benefits. Just focus on the point of pain and how you can solve it.
Wow.
So the questions that you'd ask are things like this or that. You want to use this or that questions, and you want to use yourself and your mom, and you'll sell more policies than you've ever done if you just start using, are you more like me or more like my mom? And you paint your mom as the ideal person that you want them to be, aka if you're selling life insurance, my mom would be the one who's smart and stable and who has decided to buy life insurance, and I am the dumbass who's the risk taker who's just going to say sell the agency because he had a heart attack in the middle of underwriting insurance. And so I would say the best, most actionable step you can do is start asking questions that use stories and pictures to give people this or that options. Like, so life insurance, how would I do that? I would say, would you rather be like my family when my dad died and pass the hat around the room and see how much money everybody can donate to the coffer? Or do you want to be the person who everybody's fine, don't even think about the cost of anything because they were properly protected by buying the right amount of life insurance at the right time while you could buy it and you didn't have a heart attack or you didn't have health issues, you could afford it. The younger you are when you buy it, it's cheaper, right? Use stories that way. If you're selling Medicare, it's this or that. Are you more like me or more like mom? Are you more like someone who likes to spend less money on a monthly basis to have bigger bills if something happens? If you're at the hospital, have a bigger bill. Or are you someone who likes to spend more money on a monthly basis to have less exposure, less of a bill if you get in the hospital or have a heart attack? And yeah, I guess that would be my number one actual step, is asking the right questions, this or that.
And one little nugget that I got from you that I wanted to share with the audience: take a couple business cards and just drop them as you're walking through a restaurant,
Johnny
going to the
Appleseed.
bathroom, walking through the mall. Just drop them out of your pocket.
Johnny
Leave 'em sitting
Appleseed.
there.
Yeah. Business
I
cards.
did that right after leaving 8%, and I've gotten 3 phone calls from people finding my business cards just laying
100%.
around.
That's
So,
awesome.
Again,
That's
think
dope.
about what's one of the most cost-effective things you can do, because if you say you can't afford business cards, you can order 1,000 of them from Vista right now for like $55, 1,000 of them. So, anyways, yeah, I
love
enjoy
that.
watching you guys
taught me
every
that at
week.
8%, and I wanted to share that with everybody
Yeah,
else.
that's
Love it.
awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joshua. You're the man. You're the juggernaut. You're the machine. We loved having you. You're such a great truth bomber, and you're no BS. And if you relate to Josh and you see yourself in him, make sure you hit him up. He is someone that wants to respond to you. He's someone that wants to help you. Real quickly, again, obviously Joshua Young's profile, but where can people reach you at?
Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Where else am I? I'm all over the place. Stay tuned. Most of the stuff will be on Facebook, but I'll be announcing the dates and registration links for the AEP LaunchCon series next year. But yeah,
Perfect.
Cool.
And he's in the syndicate, of course. If you can't find him, go to the syndicate. It'll be somewhere in there for sure.
Keep crushing it, guys. You guys are doing great.
Thank you. Speaking of crushing it, everybody, before we leave here, on the 12th, Ultimate Agent Season 2, Episode 1 premieres.
Somebody's
Please,
gonna win.
please go out there, check it out. We'll be live on the syndicate leading up to it a couple minutes before to get everybody hype and of course.
All I want to know is there going to be like an arm wrestling or Indian wrestling or some kind of thing to determine
Collin-
who's like second and third place, or how are we going to?
Collin does a lot of push-ups. If that,
he does.
All right. Well, you might have to do some other activity like chess or something then.
Me and Adam had a boxing match actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably don't want to do a boxing match with the guy who does push-ups, but yeah. Choose your battles wisely.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for being on, Joshua.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
All righty, everybody. Y'all have a good Friday. Go kill it. Make it your best Friday yet. Peace.